Hello, period 8 IB English students. Welcome to week 2, day 1. Before I move any further, if you are not in period 8, you have opened the wrong video. So please stop this Nearpod lesson, go back to Canvas and select the correct video for your class. Okay, so moving forward, you can just kind of watch through this video tutorial. As we practiced before, in the middle of this video, there will be message boxes or questions for you to kind of respond to along the way. So make sure that you do that. As a reminder, right, everything that you do, say, or type, etc., is recorded for the purposes of student and classroom safety. So please make sure that everything you're doing is school appropriate. Okay. Very quick review of the schedule for this week, right? Because we had a holiday on Monday, we are going with, there's this 2 back-to-back A day, right, on the 9th and then the 10th of this week. So B day, A day, and then the other B day. Again, there's no virtual check-in properly scheduled. However, if you do have a question, please feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. All right, our agenda for today. A back to school night reminder, if you get this in time. The name community builder activity, which we had to skip last week because we had a shortened class, and then a review of the internal assessment and your choices. So first, about back to school night, right? It's Tuesday, September 8th from 6 to 7:55. Your parent or guardian will need to use your student account to attend. They use the exact same Zoom link that you used to attend class during the time slot, right? Which for 8th period would be here, right? 7:45 to 7:55 p.m. And each of these little segments is only 10 minutes long. Because they're only 10 minutes long, what I did was I put together a 7 to 8 minute video for them. So when your parents log in, they will see on their screen what you're seeing now. There's a back to school button on the bottom of the homepage for our class. That's step 1. Step 2 is they're going to watch the back to school night video using Nearpod, the item that I have circled in green below here. And then once they're done watching the video, if they're attending the Zoom, they'll give me a thumbs up to let me know that they're done, or they'll use the green check mark to let me know that they're done. Just as a note, I'm going to leave that module for back to school night up for parents for a while, just in case any parent couldn't make it to back to school night but still wanted to watch the video and see the information. Okay, so for our community builder, we did an activity called Hello, My Name Is, right, where you share the story of your name. There's several ways that you can respond to this, right? First, you would put in your name, and then you can share things like why your name was chosen, the ethnicity, culture, or heritage connection to your first and or last name, your nickname, if you have one, what you like or don't like about your name, and how people may have misused or abused your name, etc. It's pretty free form. To show you what this looks like, right, I did myself. Right, my name is Sean Patrick Krause. My mother got my name from an old Irish children's book, and my dad was obsessed with letting everybody know that I'm Irish because my red hair apparently wasn't enough. My nickname growing up was, in fact, Irish. I hated it then, but I really love my dad for it now. And the one weird thing about my name is people pronounce my last name Cruz instead of Krause, and they do it a lot, and I'm not really sure why. So what we did in class was students kind of filled out this slide all together in a Google Slides presentation, but you won't need to do that separately. You will do it right here in this Nearpod lesson. So in a minute, the box will pop up and it'll have the exact same prompt about sharing the story of your name. So please go ahead and complete that. And when you're done, the video will advance. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move to the next item, right, is the internal assessment or the IA review. Okay, so first, just the general points, right? You will be selecting a 40-line passage from a text studied within the course centered around a global issue. You'll also be selecting one non-literary text to accompany the first text. Non-literary texts are pretty varied, right? But a lot of people kind of go with pictures or images or advertisements and that sort of thing. I will say that when making that choice, it's much better to select an image that does have some text on it. That way you have more than just what is being depicted in the picture to talk about. You can talk about the text within the picture and the interplay between the image and the text as well. As far as the actual oral commentary is concerned, right, there are 10 minutes of uninterrupted analysis coming from you, the student. And then the last 5 minutes of the commentary is reserved for question and answer between me and you. You are to bring a 10 bullet point note sheet or kind of like outline of the things that you want to say in your analysis and clean copies of the texts that you are analyzing, right? So you can't have like an already marked up or annotated passage or an already marked up or annotated image. They have to be clean copies that you bring. And in general, right, the teacher can help guide students via discussion of his or her outline, but we can't rehearse your actual IA with you. That's not to say that we won't be doing practice. We will, but we won't be doing it in such a way where, we will have had the conversation, the exact same conversation, before your official IA. Okay. And so now the important part, right? What will things look like this year for our IA, right? I had already mentioned during our first class that it'll be conducted via Zoom. We'll be doing it online. And there's 3 things to kind of keep in mind about that as we go through or as we do that on Zoom rather than doing it live. You'll need to do a 360-degree all clear. This is just to kind of make sure that, there's nobody else in the room, that it's just you, and that you're not getting any coaching from somebody else or any other items that might be in your eyesight or line of sight. If we were in school, right, we would have like our own room to kind of make sure that the environment is quiet and you're not going to have any background noise, etc. You're going to have to do the best you can to do that at home. I strongly suggest that when I send out the schedule, which will have the date and the time of your IA, that you talk to your family ahead of time, and let them know, like, as much as humanly possible, right? We're all dealing with different things, but as much as humanly possible, when you're doing that, you need like the whole house to be quiet so that there is no background noise. There's no kind of tainting of the recording that we'll be doing. And then you also need to show the materials that you're going to be using on a flat surface. And that's just to make sure that you are not, switching out what you showed me with an already annotated version of your text, and you're not getting an unfair advantage over other students. I mentioned this last week as well, but there is 1 week of focused prep where the entire week, the day 1 and day 2 and my office hours are all about you working on your outline, right? And taking that outline and coming up with your 10 bullet points. And, if you want to, you can kind of practice and bounce ideas off of one another like other students, but you can't do that with me. But there's a whole week dedicated to that, right? And that's that week of November 30th. The IAs, because there are so many of them and because I can't get them all done just using class time, are scheduled from the week of December 7th to the week of December 21st. And like I mentioned before, we'll need to use those Wednesday virtual check-in days to get a lot of those IAs completed or done. So, and like I said, I'll be sending out that schedule to you as soon as possible. That way you can kind of work around that. That way you're not, you can have some kind of plan in place for if you had questions to ask another teacher, in another class, you know how to work around that, and you can let them know that that's what's going on. There will be several practices as we go through our course, right? They're built into your schedule. I think the first one happens early or late next week after I do like a demonstration. So there's no reason to feel like you're not going to be prepared. We're going to be doing lots of activities to make sure that you are preparing for this several times along the way. And then the text to choose from for this year, you will be able to use Stamped by Ibram X. Kendi, The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen, or The Awakening by Kate Chopin. And so these are the 4 texts that we're going with for your choices for the IA. And we're going with these as your 4 choices because I know the materials and can guide you in your preparation. We're also I've also made the choice to limit it to these 4 texts because there isn't enough time for me to read all of the materials that you covered with Miss Savini last year. That's just not realistic, and it's too chaotic and too hectic. So these are the texts that we're going to be focusing on. So now I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of chime in with your questions, comments, or concerns. So if you were absent from our live Zoom class and you're watching this Nearpod video now, a box will pop up, and I'd like you to please type in any questions, any comments, or concerns that you have in that box, and I will look at those responses and we can talk more about that later. So please take the time to do that now. All right, thank you. Whew, okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. Just a couple quick reminders and a heads up, right? If you haven't done so already, please make sure you turn in your summer reading homework to both Turnitin.com and to Canvas. I think most of you have already completed the syllabus quiz from last week, but if you haven't done so, please make sure that you do that. That's located under the week 1 module. And then as a heads up for our next class for this week, day 2's lesson will focus on MLA formatting, like a review of those things. And then you will have the Avoiding Plagiarism quiz to complete. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in class soon.